presentation comes from Sabar Allah and assisted by Shabu B. Allah, born in Far Rockaway, Queens. Allah went through 120 lessons or 120 degrees with him in the law school. Graduated from Harlem Prep in 1970, 1 year after Dumas Wade and Umallah in 1969. Sabar Allah also one of the black karate experts of New York that was mentioned in the Amsterdam News. To assist him is Shabu B. Allah. You know I know better than that. Resigning in Now See. Enlightened by Sabar Allah in Cypress Hill Projects of Medina, East New York of 1976. Attended St. Augustine University in 1980 and graduated with a BS in Business Administration in 1984. Shabu B. Allah is a key member of the Builders Build Group, and he is one of the Region 4 most beloved builders. Let's give a hand for Sabar Allah and Shabu B. Allah.
Come on, Sabar.
Y'all ain't have to rush you. You can sit down right there for 1 minute. God.
Yeah.
I just want to say to y'all with this presentation today that it has been above outstanding. And I personally recorded this to make sure I could put this up on my YouTube so that everybody can see what's going on. Because it ain't just us, it's y'all. And this is what leads me to say that knowledge means to look, listen, observe. But the most important part of knowledge is respect. You got to respect the things that people have done. You got to respect the reality that if it wasn't for them brothers, 5% of them brothers that decided to teach us, then who would you get taught by? And when I ran into this the first time in 1973, I was 11 years old, and I went to Albany Projects in Brooklyn, New York. And when I went there, my older cousins that were gangbangers, because see, when I was growing up back then in the early 70s and whatever, the Tomahawks and the Jolly Stompers, the Hellcats, the Together Brothers, all of that. And that's what I bring to my page so that they can see that the gangism was destroyed through us getting knowledge of self. So in 1973, when I went over there to my cousins that was teaching me all the dirt in the streets and everything else, I walked into the house, and the first thing that I saw on the refrigerator was a pig sign. It said wanted 999 disease. And then I walked to the back where my cousins was, Boo Boo that was Supreme, and my other cousin Butch that's Rasheem at that time. And when I walked in the room, now understand, they grimy. They teaching me all the foul, credit card breaking people's houses, all the dirt. But I could see a change in them physically. And so I see that they were sitting there reading a book. And I said, yo, man, what's that about? Let me see that. They said, nah, you gotta go in the bathroom and wash your hands. I'm like, man, what's going on? These dudes is on something different. I go in the bathroom, I wash my hands, I come back out, and my cousin give me the book of life. which I eventually end up getting later on down the line in my life anyway. But I read the Supreme Mathematics, Supreme Alphabets, 12 Jews, and at that moment I still wasn't impressed. But when I got to the first degree, the student enrolled, who is the original man? The original man is an Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, the God of the universe. I said, oh man, I gotta have this. Now remember, I'm growing up in the gang era, so I'm 11 years old. I'm willing to go through the mill with chains, bats, whatever they got to get this. So I said to my cousin, yo, what I gotta do to get this? And he said, you gotta go on a fast for 7 days and drink nothing but water and eat ice cream. I was 11 years old. I couldn't comprehend that. So I said, Father, you see, King, you man, I ain't down with that. And I rolled on about my business. But here come 3 years later, 1976. They had the summer youth corps jobs in New York at that time. Summer youth corps, manpower, all that. So instead of me going out in the streets and picking up papers and all that, they said to me, yo, you could go to school and we gonna pay you. And redirection was like, Alpha was like redirection, satellite, alternative school. We call them 600 school. So I went there that summer. And I'm saying, yo, if I get paid, and they say, you're gonna get credit toward your high school diploma. So I said, yo, that's cool, that's right up my alley. But when I went there, the whole powerhouses, as they call it, pink houses, in East Medina was flooded with nothing but guards and earths. So I ran into a brother, God Revere, that gave it to me first. And he just gave me the Supreme Mathematics, Supreme Alphabet, 12 Jews, and 1 to 10. I was calling myself Wonderful God then. But I thought that was like a statement, so I wasn't, I really wasn't into it. The only reason I say that is because I capped that kind of quick. And my man that was in my building, that was an 85, he said, yo, my brother got the whole book with all the lessons. So I'm like, yo, what? God Revere ain't around now. This is like around going into us going back to high school, September, whatever. And he gave me this book. Back then, we used to put out 120 in the album cover books. So I had this book. I started studying out of this book. So I'm in the hallway, 315, the infamous 315. That's where the law team was born. They call it an A-team or whatever, but just throwing that in there. That's the hallway that I was in. And I was 14 years old. So I was studying these lessons right up on the counter. Y'all know him as Subar. But when he walked in, his name was God Allah. And he walked over to me, and he seen I was studying them degrees. And he said, them is not the right degrees. You want the right ones? I said, yeah. I still got that album cover to this day. And guess what degrees they were? They was from the man called Robert Walker. And they said, in the name of Almighty God, victorious Allah. They was what he had, they called firstborn Muslims. And how we always knew how to handle them is that they taught us to make sure that you always take them back to 120, which is your foundation. When they want to go with wise water wet, the sky is blue, and all this fantastic, plus, let's say, take it back to 120.
Right.
So anyway, I went upstairs with him to the 5th floor, stayed outside the door. He gave me 120. I left. I started studying. And, you know, I was telling him about the name or whatever, and he was like, yo, you ain't got to take a name. You could just be brother. So I dropped that wonderful God, and I was already into my 1 to 14 before I took the name Shabu, and we used to take our names through the lesson, through the mathematics. So when I took it Shabu through just SHABU, it added up to like wisdom or equality. I was like, nah, man, you know, I can't be with this earth thing. So I'm gonna say it's Shabu's before me. But I could say I'm the original one that added the E with the hyphen that's silent over the top. So he gave me the 120, you know, and it was a sister Mecca. He gonna laugh at this. I think Mecca had feeded Lamar some pork or something, and God came down and went crazy on her, you know? And she was crying and everything, and I came over and soothed her, and she said to me, right after that, she said, I know what name fits you. I said, what name? She said, Shabu. And like I said, I took it through the math, and then say to hear Allah born you equality. Because the man taught me to be a free and independent thinker. That's how Allah lived. So now we going through the stages, and I'm going to get off of here because I'm going to ask him certain questions so that, you know, he can give this to y'all, because a lot of times y'all see these figureheads in the nation, and those are the only ones y'all respect.
Yeah, man.
He might have enlightened me, but Shaheem, Minister, Rahim, Monique the Grapevine, I could even say Born Savior. I could say you Herod. Come on. Divine Prince was with me when we took over a whole school on Fountain and Belmont called the Fountain of Youth. Zaire and his earth and all them I done known forever. We was young guards going out to Far Rockaway. What was that? 88th Street, Bader's Hall. All the park jam, no hip hop, no nothing. Wouldn't be without the guards.
That's right.
Ain't nobody dominated this reality. It was God in the ghetto. The Lord came to teach the youth.
Say it again.
So, as a young guard, back then, it was always the big degrees when you ran into somebody and said they knew 120. And I became a real problem because now I'm 14 with 120 and I'm putting everybody on the square. I don't care who you with. You don't know your math, you got a problem. So I'm going through what we going through, and I finally get my 120. December the 4th, 1976.
Talk about it.
So I'm waiting, man. I'm waiting for her. He used to work for Wildcat. He had the sheepskin hat, all that. And see, it took a certain type of individual to teach me, because for the fact I was already academically equipped. So it ain't no knucklehead that's going to impress me to take this. But he was the perfect example of what the father's teachers was about us going to school, getting a trade, and doing all this. So even though I was out in the streets, I always went to school. But anyway, he rolls into the hallway. I got all my so-called little disciples around, you know, because I'm really not teaching nobody at that moment, because like the top of the student enrollment say, the following questions must be answered 100% before submitting to student to say lesson number 1. You qualify and disqualify yourself. So we couldn't teach nobody without first knowing 120. We didn't wear no flags without knowing 120. And the brother, one of the brothers that was with him at that time, they taught a whole bunch of us out in East Medina, Monique God used to come to the park and open up his jacket like this, and he would have flags in them with our names already in them. You understand? So like I said, I'm in the hallway, everybody's around, and he walks in the door. So I said, yo, God, I got my 120. Remember, I'm 14, I'm 62 now. I was 14 years old. And he looked at me just as cool and everything. And remember, all these brothers back then, man, they all was bad with martial arts, everything. Because y'all got to understand, it was a small percentage of them walking around talking about the black man is God in the 60s and the early 70s. So you had to know something. And they taught us, but I ain't going to get off track once again. So he said to me, you know your 120? I said, yeah. And like I said, I was waiting for a big degree. He said, what's the God degree in the 1 to 40? How fast does our planet travel?
Talk to him, son.
1,137 and 1/3 miles per hour. He looked at me and said, prove it. And jumped on the elevator.
That's how we do.
I'm 14. So let me give my sisters a little credit before I bring them up here. After he did that, it was a sister at that time named Love Asia. And God had sent Love Asia the Harlem Prep. So when she got the Harlem Prep, she was getting nothing but straight A's. So I go up the house, you know, she let me in, her brother, Wise Monique, before he moved out to the desert. And I'm in there and she looking at me, she like, yo, like, Sha, you acting like you got a problem. I'm like, yeah, man, I done told God I got 120. He give me the most simplest question in the whole 120. And I tell him, you know, how fast the planet travel. And he tell me, prove it. And she looked up at me from the book and she was like what? What's the problem? What's the problem? And that was the first one that started breaking down degrees to me. She told me take 24 hours and divide it by the circumference of the planet Earth, which is 24,896. But later on online, and I'm going to jump off because see, I could go crazy too, you know. But I'm going to tell y'all this part. Later on, I learned that at the first degree, and that's how I used to catch a lot of Earths that thought they was real slick with their math and want to be blowing some of these peon brains out at the time. Because back then it was sisters that they could have you in their gravitational pull. And especially if they was with a God that had some wisdom and they leave him, they usually master all the other men that they get with. After being with a true and living God, you know? So that's when I learned at the first degree that the earth is traveling at 1,137 and 1/3 miles per hour at 15 degrees. Why? Because if it's at 15 degrees after 24 hours, that's 360 degrees, right?
Right.
Every second When she go from 15 to 30 degrees, she no longer traveling at 1,137, but she traveling at 2,000 and something in 2/3. By the time she get to the third, we know that when you got the numerator and the denominators both one and the same, what it become? A whole number again. That's why the earth is 24,896, approximately 25,000 miles. We from the east, man. We was warriors, but we was scientists. And you know,
That's what we
I'm gonna let the guard go right now. You know, and I just hope that y'all can enjoy this, because for years, months and days, somebody that was actually as close to the Father as he was is now getting a chance to tell y'all what that Allah world manifest was like in the flesh. Because we got so many people running around there now talking about we not the nation of gods and earths, and like Khalid and Born King and them just made that up. Like, really? Like we just 5%? The 5% was our women and our children. We was babies. We wasn't even making children back then. So you telling me I'm still supposed to be stuck back in the time warp, and I'm not supposed to be responsible because the real father of civilization is taking care of his children and is taking care of his woman. Because the universe is everything. The sun, the moon, and the stars. And I don't want to crush nobody's brain cell by saying, yo, man, woman, and child was all created at the same time. Otherwise, the universe wouldn't be the universe. And with that, I'm going to bring on Subar, you know, better known to me as God Allah.
I want to say something. I observed you people today, and your brother invited me down here and told me about this. I know about y'all having these meetings, but a lot of the brothers, or especially the elders, they don't respect it. It's like nothing to them. They have like a prejudice against it, which is so wrong. But I want to say that I am so proud of y'all. I'm so proud of what I saw today, that I can tell you that Allah would be proud of you too.
That's peace.
Because I'm not one of them ones that was playing around. I was standing with him. I was one of the brothers when those three savages came to kill him in front of the school. I was one of the brothers that stood in front of their guns so they wouldn't shoot Allah. A lot of people don't know that about what happened with the father. They tried to kill him 3 times. And 2 of those times I was there. The last one I wasn't there because he told me not to be there. But anyhow, what you're doing here, what you're doing, and all of you here with this stuff that you're doing is what Allah wanted to do. As a matter of fact, He sent each one of us to go to different states in the country so we could teach about the knowledge to spread it. He wanted it to spread. We might not have known how it was going to spread at the time, but that's what He wanted us to do. I went to Detroit first. And then when I came back from Detroit, I went to Harper College in Binghamton, New York. And I went there and told those white people I was God, so that we can make it easier for y'all. I'm back from 67. So I'm here a little longer than 30-something years. More like 50-something years. Like that. And being with the Father, I want to tell you all about this. This is what I'm here for. He was human. He was like a person. He wasn't like the other people that I knew, but I'm going to tell you this in humor. One day, me and Allah was standing in front of the school. This was after they did that spaceship stuff to the moon. And Allah came over to me. I'm a youngster, I don't know, about 17, 18. And He says to me, do you think they landed on the moon? So I looked up at the moon. Then I looked at him. I said, I'm 16, 17, 18, something like that. I looked at him, right? And I said, I don't know. And I'm thinking, you are Lord, well, I don't know. And then he said, I think they did because my woman is acting a little strange. So I said, oh, okay. And by the way, the earth, Allah called y'all his daughters. He didn't call y'all, but they used the word earth at the time, but he called y'all his daughters. And when those savages hit one of his daughters, he let us know, take care of his daughters. So you were valuable to him, and he taught that to me. He was also open-minded in his teachings. He wasn't like regulated or restricted. One day we in the school, he's teaching all of us 120. We're going through the lessons. Everybody's quoting the lessons and answering it according to what they read, what they learned. So being a free and independent thinker, when he got to 34, to me, number 34, he said, can you reform MW? I said, yes. I answered contrary to the lessons, so I could see what he would do and how he would act. Because the brothers that was there at the time had their own way of teaching, which was not like him. Which is why I went to Mecca. I moved to Mecca so I could be close with him and see him every day and go through the knowledge with him. He said to me, this is what his answer was. He was not upset. He didn't try to barbecue me or roast me. He just said to me, then you don't understand culture. So I said, peace, you know. Then he went to the next brother and the next brother. And it was like, I mean, he was not regulated. And by him saying that thing about the spaceship landing, right? His impression of the woman was like she was really the earth to him. Because I first went to Mecca in order to study him. I wanted to know this phenomenal being because I was really lit up by him. I searched for a while when I was Razan. I ran into a brother named Subah. That was the first contact I had with 5%.
That's Dr. God.
Subah. That's my name. All right, because I had this guy had. I'm gonna say straight up. Is there any babies in here? This guy felt my sister's rear end. And I was a black belt already. So I was killing them on the steps of my building. And then I heard a voice behind me say, don't kill him, God. He's your brother. So I said, he put his hands on my sister. He must die. Or you're going to die. Remember, I'm a black belt and I'm a savage. I used to eat ham sandwiches. I didn't know none of that stuff he was talking about. But then when I said, what are you talking about? I took the guy and threw him in the garbage can, put the top on it, and then I turned around to this guy next to the bar. I was like, he's my brother. He touched my sister on the unit to beer in. Okay. And he said, you the original man. The Asiatic black man. The maker. The owner, the cream of the planet Earth, 1967, we thought it was nothing, actually 1966. He's telling me this, I'm like, where'd you get this from? Because I never heard a black man speak like that before. I heard of Elijah Muhammad at that year in time, but I didn't hear nobody talk like this. He had a little red book. He said, I got it in my book, I wrote it down. I said, he said, memorize that and I'll give you some more. The next day I was at his house talking about, where's the more? His name was Subah. He got arrested and something happened, he got killed. And I really didn't appreciate it, so I took his name and made it live. And added a little bit of something to it. And it's not Subah, it's Subah. S-U-B-A with a hyphen over the A.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the, all my life they always call me Subah, but no, it's Subah. Like that. God, Subah, Allah. Now, when my name was God, Allah, the reason that he encountered me like that was because when they said what they did to the Father, we were supposed to be there, right? We wasn't there because he sent us home. So I got pissed about it. How dare them do that to the Father? So we, the brothers, all of us was there. We decided that, hey, my name is going to be God. Your name, your middle name would be whatever you decided, and our last name would be Allah. This was because we were not afraid of them, the ones that did what they did. We wanted them to come back so we could have some fun. We wanted to have some fun, but they never came back. But this is why our names are in the order that they're in. Now your school, after Allah left, I used to sit in that front window in a chair. Sometimes with a God U Nation, sometimes without. And I used to protect that school for all 50 years. I seen generations come and generations go. Allah decided that, because some of us was trained in martial arts, but Allah decided me, the baby, was going to be the one that taught the nation. So for all these years, I've been teaching guards how to defend themselves. The brother that spoke about self-defense, I had people come into the school uptown in Mecca and shoot through the door. Open the door and shoot in there with the place filled with women and children. Now, if you're in a situation like that, you can't run. Everything is real. And Allah used to always say that. Everything is real. Not everything is for real, everything is real. So I was in the back of the school, they had a room back there, they don't have it now. And I was in that room, so I heard the shots, so I broke out the door. And I was like, kill these mother, what? But the sisters and the brothers that was cowards ran. So when I went out, they knocked me down. And I hit the floor, but then I got back up. I went to the door, that nigga got away. But all kinds of stuff used to happen in Mecca. None of us was sissies. None of the guards was cowards. Now, one day I'm having a class in Mecca. There's 15 of us. And Allah was outside. Allah was outside, the Father. And a brother came running in the school and he said, yo, God, these 3 niggas got Allah outside, they got guns on them. So I said, them niggas sound like they crazy. They're gonna have a gun on Allah. Out of his mind, right? But when I went out the door, guess what? There was 3 niggas that had guns on Allah. And they was around him. So I said to myself, it's too late for Kung Fu. We gotta do this for real. So I walked over to one nigga, and he had his hand, it was a revolver. I took the revolver and put it here. My students surrounded everybody. Zulman El Rahim, the other 2 Kung Fu teachers came out and did the same. So I told the students, when I eat these 6 bullets, kill these MFs. And Allah was standing there looking. Allah was standing there, he was looking. So the guy, he took his revolver, uncocked it, and put it in his pocket. And they walked away. And Allah said to me, why did you do that? I can handle that. And I was like, I'm a black belt now. I know about reality. And I'm saying, yeah, but we can handle it better together. And then I got up on him and looked him in his eyes. And none of y'all seen that. A lot of the brothers that was there at the time didn't look him in his eyes. I looked him in his eyes. And what I saw in his eyes, I was so close that I saw me in his eyes. And he told me, come with me. Now, they had a place called the Basement on the corner where the Street Academy is now. It was a hole, like you go downstairs. So Allah says, come with me down here. So I go down the hole, and I look around, and there's a whole bunch of people in there right there, shooting dice. Huh?
God, they gotta get Shamgod up. He's the last
My
one.
time is up?
Yeah,
Well,
basically.
anyhow, just to let you know, Allah he was a real person. He was a human being. And if you met him, you would like him.
Hey!
Thanks, y'all.
Hey!
I can get down too.
Hey, Suba. God said, he said finish.
He talking about Allah. Let him
Hey.
I'll share my time with him.
Okay, great.
That's great,
Great.
God.
Peace, God.
Can you
Add
tell
on.
us what happened when he went in the hole now?
There was some people shooting dice.
Okay.
So I'm with Allah right now. I'm a young kid. I'm a young kid. And then a guy came behind Allah, and he pulled out like a soda bottle cap, and he had a bag with some white powder in it. And he went to take it and pour it in the cap, the soda bottle cap. And Allah saw me looking, right? I didn't know what to do. So Allah turned around, and he said, what? What are you doing? Next thing I know, click, 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 click. And I looked around, everybody there had guns. All of them had guns. I said, I can't fight a bullet here. And Allah said, you can't do that here. And the guy said, okay, I'm sorry. And he said, I won't do it. And I said, oh shit, let me get out of here, right? And then Allah took me out. We went back upstairs in front of the school. And now it ended. So that's how Allah was. And the people that knew him, they knew he wasn't no sissy. When he turned around and said that brother dropped that, whatever that was, I don't know what that was. And he dropped it. Just to let you know, your father was real with what he said, and he looked at it like as it is in heaven, so shall it be on earth. He looked at it like that. Life. Not a
Hold on, God. Could you tell him that the father about his own style of
Yeah, style,
karate?
yeah, we call twine fist, which was similar to the system of martial arts that I use now, which is called Wing Chun, close quarters combat. But he seemed to have known about it. I don't know why. He knew about it before I knew about it. And it was a way that he punched in close quarters if you didn't have a weapon, which is what they said he used on those ones that came to get him. They said it was 5 people. I think it was more. Probably was like a military action, and they had agents all around like that. But yeah, he had it was similar to what the Muslims were doing before Moses' power came there. Because Moses' power taught the Muslims. I taught the 5 percenters. And nobody messed with us. We beat everybody, all of them. Black Muslims, Sunni Muslims, everybody. Panthers, nobody messed with us. We was known as the most violent group on the East Coast. That's because telling people that you God, when they used to a God in the sky, it's not easy. No, one savage told me one night, 12 o'clock at night, I'm going home. And he bumped into me, he drunk. He said, get out of my way. I said, nigga, I'm God. What the hell are you talking about? Get out of your way. And he pulls out this big knife, right? And he said, I will cut you. What you gonna do if I cut you? I said, well, I will probably bleed all over you, and I will scream like hell because you just cut me. But then I said, but if I don't bleed, and I don't scream like hell, then if I was you, I'd get out of here because I would be something else that you would not understand. He just said, okay. And put his knife away and I went home. That's one way to resolve it without getting violent. But back then we had a lot of violence. To let you know, they was coming at us when the brothers said they was God, they was killing them left and right. It was the Harlem 7, they dropped it to 6. When they first told people they was God, and the people said, yo, what? They dropped them. They was not friendly. They told the savages, we're God, and the savages said, you ain't no God. Bam! What? That's how we started. And that's the people that I know. You people are different. And what I got to say about that is that you down here in Virginia, where the Ku Klux Klan and everybody is. You're all down here with all the slavery and all the Civil War and all the hell happened. And look at you, you're God. Allah would have loved you all. Keep doing what you're doing because that's how you got to do it. We didn't know how it was going to be done, but yeah, you're doing the right thing.
Well, can I ask you one question?
Yes, sir.
Did Allah ever prepare you for a time when He would not be with us?
Yeah, He told us that, see, when Allah was, when this thing was going to happen to him, He knew. He was telling that they offered him $1 million to shut up. And when we was little kids, and I was like, he ain't even do nothing to Allah, especially me, you know, because I'm crazy. I'm crazy about Allah. But He said, no, y'all have to be able to carry it on. And even when it happened, He was telling me, because you might wonder, why was His bodyguards not there with him when it happened? He told us to go home. He told me to go home. That it was nothing that I was going to be able to do. I disagree. Because they would have had to kill me too. I would have loved that. I would have had me some fun. I like to have fun.
You wouldn't be here to tell us this right now, God.
I really don't care. Somebody else would have told you. My other students, I got a lot of students. They got one right there. I got a lot of students.
Auckland told me.
Ahmed?
Yeah. He told me, Father said, go home.
Yeah, he knew it was happening, and he said that it's like if you take a chicken, right, and you chop the head off, the chicken body want to be just running around in circles because it won't know what to do. So we can't be like that. We can't have no leader. He told us that. So we was prepared for that. We knew, but we didn't want to know, but we knew. And we was kids.
God, I just got one more question I need you to clarify. Yeah, I'm gonna let you go, Shan. Did Allah ever call you God? Did He ever say to you that we are the nation of God in earth?
Oh, me and Raheem, old man Raheem, we was in the street academy, and Allah walked in one day right behind us. And then He looked at me and said to me, you're not a 5%. I said, no, I'm not. Raheem said, no. And then he looked at the other ones and says, I know why you're not a 5%. But the 5%ers, they was violent, they was crazy. That's the name the police gave them for being jailbirds. Allah said to me, oh, because you're the one who teaches about the true and living God. No, we are the true and living gods. That's what we are. The ones that listen to us, those are the 5%ers. The 5%ers are they're the ones who know who we are. But we are who we are. So you could be a 5%er. We don't mind because that's how the city designated us. They call us that. Yeah, but that's our violent side. When we want to be like sophisticated in gods. We want to be sophisticated gods. Yeah, we like it like that. But Allah said that, and anybody that don't agree with this because they wasn't there. And they can tell you whatever they want to tell you. But Allah was standing next to me when He said it, and none of them niggas in this nation could kick my ass. And I'm elderly. I'm 75. I'm 75. Anything else?
Thank you,
Shamgod, you coming up, black man? Well, let me do your bio, God. Everybody knows Shamgod. I'm gonna do his bio. Okay.
The last one.
Peace. We got God Shamgod coming up. Shamgod has been a member of the 5% since the very young age of 12 while living in Mecca, Harlem, New York. He came up in the wake of the 60s, where consciousness ran rapidly throughout the city. He is the proud father of 12, through his own blended family. Many of us know him by the name Black Seed Shammgof. That's because we have a few other Shamgods in this nation. Peace. Come on now, Shamgod.
Peace, guys. Peace,
Peace, family.
Peace, guys. Let's watch cool,
You gotta get up. Come here, you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is from your brothers, from Pelon, that you train with and everything, from a law people. He said, tell them the truth. Peace. We have to give this up at 5 o'clock, so I'm going to be brief. I'm going to talk about the past, present, and the future. My past, like I said, I got this at 12 years old. My family lived on 118th Street in Mecca, and I was a runaway. I wasn't part of no family unit. Every chance I got to run away from home, I ran away from home. A brother that I used to run with named Born-a-Law Christ, Black Seed, may he rest in peace. He's out of Medina. He was the one that introduced me to the Father. We was going up to St. Louis Project to do some dirt. He was 13, I was 12. And we come down 7th Avenue, and the Father was there. The brother knew the Father because his family was in March number 7 with Allah. And he wanted to know what was we doing on that end of town, unsupervised. So I didn't know who he was, but the brother did all the talking. So Allah asked him, he said, man, you gonna bring him around? This your man? He said, make sure that he elevated to the level that you was at. That was my first introduction to Allah, February 24th, 1965. Next year, I celebrate my 60th year in this nation. I never wanted to be anything but a 5%. My brothers that lived on 170th Street, 17th Street was Colleen, Hakeem, Ali, Living Truth, and Qasim. We lived around the corner from each other. But I hung out mostly uptown because that's where the older brothers was at, and that's what was happening. Sugar Hill was what was happening, so I stayed uptown. Now, dealing with the Almighty God Allah, the reason that I love Allah is because, as the God said, the Father was totally different than anybody that I had ever met. He was mild-mannered. He didn't raise his voice too much. But when he got mad, trust me, you knew about it, whether he was talking to you or not. You felt that he was talking to you. You know, and I never forget when I moved to Medina, East New York, you talked about somebody that I love dealing with, by Monique, because me and Monique did a lot of teaching in East New York. We used to always go up to the school, and the Father would tell us, listen, I don't want to catch y'all up here every day because y'all are too young and y'all should be in school. Y'all shouldn't be out here. And this was in 67. After he came out of Mattawan and Mayor Lindsay gave him the Street Academy. It was no hangout spot. He got that for the babies, the children. That's who that school was, the young teenagers that he had amongst them. Remember, and God can tell you, because he older than I am, I'm 70 years old, he said 75. It was few babies in this nation. So therefore, he had teenagers. And don't y'all forget it. And when you come up with something unique, don't back down. Born King told y'all earlier, about his passion and everything and why he do what he do. I never heard the Father say the babies is the greatest. I heard the gods and the earth say that the babies are the greatest. I heard that the Father, and I know for a fact, he said teach the young. That's who he told us to be. That's who he had. Roughneck teenage kids that was out of their mind. And he had to do whatever he had to do to show us the right direction. I love my old dad until the day he died, but I love the law because he had the patience and he had the time to deal with me. I had two brothers that I passionately ran with when I was early. That's Hami, whose name was God Allah. Later on, he passed away. The God brother and master in karate, Allah Freedom. We've known each other since we was children, and it was us. And the father could not understand why 3 black seeds was all together. He said, damn it, I told y'all, get a brown seed, give a yellow seed. But we just loved each other, so we just ran together. You asked the important question, and I like that. The last time that we seen Almighty God Allah, and I'm just moving forth because of time, but I can get in anything that I need to get in. The last time that we seen Allah was in the December Parliament of 1968. All 3 of us was in the same training school. In other words, we was in juvie. We got in trouble. That's where they sent us. When we came home, all 3 of us, like I said, was together. We was with Allah. Though we all had books of life, before then, the first official book of life that I got in this nation was out of the hand of Almighty God Allah when we came home that December. He went to the cabinet in the back, and he went in there, and it was entitled The Book of Life for the 5%. That's what was on the yellow envelope, manila envelope that he gave us, and it had 120 degrees. He gave each of us our own copy. And he told us when we get back to the institution, teach the brothers from this. This way, y'all all have the same lessons, and there's no discrepancy on what y'all was learning. Now, I didn't understand until the day he went home, God. The Father told us that December 28th, I'll never forget. He told us, he said, I might not be here when y'all get back. Really, this is it to some 14, 15-year-old young children. We wasn't thinking about no death, nothing negative at all. We didn't understand it. We just took it for granted. He said something to us. We walked in the mess hall as Ortisville State Training School. And one of the brothers in the mess hall said that Allah got killed. And trust me, it took everything in me to keep from bashing him in the damn head because we thought that it was a lie. Now, most of you guys, how many of you guys have heard the tape of the Father? Okay, great. That was done up in Ortisville Training School. Who orchestrated it was this psychologist by the name of Dr. Clark. On the tape, you probably heard the name Ben Graziano. Go back and check it out. He was one of the administrators up there for the Division of Youth. Ben Graziano called Allah Freedom, myself, and Harmeen because we were the oldest brothers and we got the teachers in the street. He called us and he told us that the father got killed. He said, I can't let y'all go home because y'all are not his immediate family. But what I'll let y'all do, I'll let you brothers have a parliament and come together as long as y'all keep it peaceful. And he allowed us to call the school. That's where we got our information. So what was crazy about it and why I'm telling y'all that is if y'all have children and everything, a lot of them don't know about life and death. And they think that we are invincible. And in terms of that, if you die unexpectedly or while they are young, they ain't understanding. And it's gonna hurt. It hurt us, but we understood. And all of us looked at each other and said, damn, that's what he meant when he told us 6 months ago that he might not be here. July, when we came home, because 2 of us got released in July, the other got released in August of that year. When we went down to Mecca to the school, I kid you not, the school looked like that we was on a desert. And you know how they show you the mirage, because it was on a hot, hot summer day. Everything that Allah told us not to do because we were young and lacked understanding, we did. Everything that he told us not to do, we turned around and we did. So, you know, when people talk about you young people, I don't hold none of y'all responsible for what happened in this nation during that period of time, because some of y'all wasn't even around. It was us older brothers that gave our commitment to Allah to keep this going. But being young, and I tell brothers all the time, ask for grace. If you ask for grace, you can get it because you're sincere about it. And we turn to drugs, we turn to alcohol, and other things that was not good for us. Because those things medicate you, those things put you in a state of mind that you don't want to do anything other than submit to that which you was taking. Lucky enough for the gods, or those that was doing those things, woke up and realized that they had a job and responsibility. And listen, I thank you too, Paul, for inviting me. Some young brothers asked me last year if I would, do a podcast for them. And I told them, I said that I would do it only on one condition. I did it because they were young brothers and they wanted to know. I said, if I can't tell y'all the whole truth and nothing but the truth, if I got to get on there here and lie, I'd rather not do it. Because you need to know. What's that old slogan? We fall down, but we do what? Get back up. That's your greatness. That's our slavery, period, that we went through as young men and women and older brothers and older women. Our past, he touched up on it, how great we was because he talked about slavery. That we was kings and queens, we was here. The young got inquisitive and wanted to leave home, not knowing what was going to happen to them. They came here to the wilderness of North America, and y'all know the story. This is my home, this is my birth state. I was born in Suffolk, Virginia. And any of y'all know that? That's the peanut factory. Planet Peanuts.
God City.
Yes, sir. That's where I was born at. Where did they say we landed? Jamestown, Virginia. All right? So we know their mishap, and when they came up out of it, we had to go through our trials and tribulation. We came out of it because the only way that we could show and prove that Allah lives is by continuing to teach. He never asked us for no money. He never asked us to do anything that we had to pay him, bow down to him, or anything else. Like the God said, he got hit that night because those that protected him, he told him he wanted to go home by his damn self. I listened to the God and why I shared my time with him and told him don't cut him off, because y'all need to know that. We loved him that much, we would not let nothing happen to him. But when he told us something and he was emphatic about it, we didn't challenge it. And the rest was history. I feel the same way you do, God. I feel the same way you do, man. So, so that's my experience with the law. And I teach, and I tell people all the time, my life and sacrifice is all to what he gave us. And as far as who we are, and you asked the question, Shabu, I never forget, we was going through the lessons one day. And it was about 7 of us. And he started examining us on what we didn't know. Because the brothers we was around, they wanted us to go through the lessons accordingly. So none of us was really in the 1 to 40. And that's the first time I heard he was pissed off at us. He said, who is the 5%? And start, dropping them questions. Who's the 85%? And what he was asking us was, how do you say you something and you can't tell a person who you are? He said, how you know you don't fall in one of them other categories? So what he did that day, he told all of us that was there, he said, I want y'all to go back to the lessons. I don't care what the brothers say. Y'all get from the 14th degree to the 20th degree. And he said, you will know who a 5% is. And he said, y'all will also know what the hell y'all got to do. Because how can you talk about the meaning of civilization, the duty of a civilized person, and the rest of them, if y'all don't know these things? Because people is going to examine you. And it made sense. So lo and behold, the next time we saw him, he pointed out who he wanted to say something to, and he seen we knew the lessons. He said, now go back to where y'all at in your lessons. But it made good sense, and I use that trademark when I'm introducing somebody to this. You have to have an identity. So if you don't know who you are, then that's a shame. And people ain't gonna bear witness to it. And not only can you talk this and have to talk this, you have to be able to live it. One thing that I know that 5% do, they come to one another aids. I'll give you 2 quick stories and then I'm gonna wrap up. One, in 1976, Harlem Commonwealth was trying to take the property away from the 5%. We was living in Medina then. Me, Akmir, understanding the boxer, we came up to the school because we always did that, just come up to see what was going on in Mecca. Colleen was there. Before we could even step foot in the door and sign the book, he said, man, y'all come with me. This chump trying to take the school, man. He said, all I need y'all to do, just come out here and walk with me. We ain't answered no questions, not one. We went around there, that's when we went Mr. Downey. That was the guy that was the head of Harlem Commonwealth. And Colleen went in there, and trust me, he didn't bite his tongue. He said, nigga, you try to take my school, I'll cut your damn head off. And before you know it, and he said, we was out the door going back to the street academy. Another quick story about what a 5% will do, a true living 5%. A man could be someplace with his family, and his earth can be pregnant, and he have to send her before he come and meet back with her. And she can go amongst some true living 5% without them acting like damn fools and try to hit on the sister.
That's right.
When I heard that story, it blew my mind, because I had never heard it. And I loved them brothers that she told me she was around. She wasn't around no John 5%. She was around some of Allah's greatest 5%ers. And that man could not get here at the same time she did. But he sent his woman, and she was banned life, and them brothers protected that sister as if she was a woman. That's what a 5% do. 5% rise to the occasions. And don't never plagiarism nothing. If you saying something, have ownership of it. Don't say this person said that and this person said that. If they didn't say it, be a man and stand up to what you bear witness to and what you believe. I've had a wonderful time. I'm sorry that we're not going to be here for the cookout tomorrow. But God's earth, I thank y'all for the presentation that y'all gave today, because those things that y'all talked about, that was going to be a part of my presentation, but it showed me that y'all paid attention to what growth and development. Continue to cultivate and build your region up. And each region have to build themselves up. And that national thing that you want, with everybody being there, it'll come together. But when they come to the table, they got to come to the table with something. Listen, before it was the growth and development, it was GUL. And them brothers tirelessly, every Sunday met trying to put that together. The growth and development, when it came out about the 9 regions, it was a wonderful idea. But the thing about ideas is they must be cultivated. Because you have it in your mind, if you do nothing about it, then it's going to die. That's why we always tell you to take mathematics from knowledge to born. Because when it reaches born, it's going to be born dead or alive. It depends on who manifests it. So I say, listen, let's continue to be great. Let's continue to be an example for our young people. And more importantly, support what they do. Support what they do. Because I'm a living witness of an individual that have had his freedom from the time that he came in this nation, and that's how I roll. Being free and independent and standing on that which I truly bear witness to and believe in. And on that, I want to say peace.